I know I've missed some videos, and the truth is, I've been drunk. Hello friends, my name is Angie and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the books that I finished this past week. I did miss a week full of videos because I usually film on Friday evenings, little behind the scenes knowledge for you guys. And last Friday happened to coincide with the 4th of July weekend, and I also happened to get incredibly inebriated on Friday night and really didn't want to film myself on camera drunkenly rambling about books. Sorry. It would have been funny, and if you're sad that you missed it, let me know in the comments so I can film myself if I ever get that drunk again. Don't worry guys, I have since sobered up and have been playing around with my filming schedule. This video, in case you can't tell, is being shot during the daytime. Oh my gosh. But I'm going to see if this can work for me going forward with my weekend schedule, or if I'm going to have to go back to nights. I don't like filming at night because it's usually really, really late and I have a tendency to ramble anyway. And then the hours tick by and I just blah, 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 blah. Like, it will take me probably up to an hour to film a 15-minute video. It's not pretty. It's not pretty, guys. That is not why we are here, though. We are here to discuss the books that I finished between July 4th and July 10th. For those of you who did not know or did not see the videos floating around on BookTube, July 4th marked the final day of the historical romance readathon. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory. So we're just going to go quickly through the books that I got through before this week started, okay? Initially, I was a little nervous about the historical romance readathon simply because I tend to gravitate more towards contemporary romances. But I thought, you know what, I want to push myself, I want to see what all the hype is about, and hopefully find some new authors and new books to fall in love with. And we started out great. I picked up The Duchess War by Courtney Milan, gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was a really great book. It is definitely more like story-based rather than steamy romance times, if you catch my meaning. It was not as steamy as I thought it was going to be, but I still enjoyed the hell out of it, and I want to pick up the second book as soon as I can. I then moved on to While the Duke Was Sleeping by Sophie Jordan, and I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. You guys, I love the movie While You Were Sleeping. I did not know that there was a historical romance kind of based around that concept, or I would have picked it up sooner, and I would have been able to have claimed that I read more than Tessa Dare going into this readathon. I really enjoyed this book. I cannot wait to get to the next book. I love the family dynamic. It was a great read. Really recommend. Thief of Shadows by Elizabeth Hoyt, along with Beguiling the Beauty by Sherry Thomas, also got 4 out of 5 stars from me. Both were really good reads, and I do not regret picking them up for 1 second, but then we hit my first roadblock of the readathon. So here we go, guys. If you are drinking tea, go ahead and pour some out because I'm about to spill some of my own. This author is extremely beloved here on BookTube, and it is Lisa Kleypas. I picked up Secrets of a Summer Night, and it just wasn't the book for me. I can see why people like this book in particular, but to me, it missed the mark. So the book follows this girl, and I don't have it open on my phone. It's not even, I want to get to the books that I read this week, okay? But it follows this girl, and she has basically been having several seasons because, you know, she doesn't have any money, right? So this is her final season, and she is going to have to resort to being someone's mistress to get money to support her family. Enter our hero, who decides that he wants to sleep with her. Like, everybody wants to sleep with her, right? And they all want to make her their mistress, okay? To give her money so she can afford her lifestyle. They don't want to marry her, right? So the hero is no different. He's like, you know what? I'm going to get her in my bed, and that's going to be that. I have no intentions on marrying her. And it kind of takes that form throughout the whole book. And I was like, really? So then when the romance started up, it more so felt to me like he was trying to win her, like trying to win her as a prize rather than trying to be with her as a partner. Now, because this is a romance book, you can guess what happens, and you can guess to kind of the outcome it leads to. They do have their happily ever after. They do get married because she is very headstrong and adamant that she will not become someone's mistress. And it felt to me like the marriage, according to the hero, was the price he had to pay to sleep with her, if that makes any sense. It was a miss for me personally. I didn't really enjoy it. If you have any other Lisa Kleypas books you recommend, please leave them down in the comments below, because I want to give her a second try. She is so hyped that I want to see what all this hype is about. That was the setup going into July 4th. Now, July 4th, I had 2 books left that I really, really wanted to get to. I had a crazy, insane TBR for the historical romance readathon, but there were 2 that I knew I just had to pick up before the readathon ended. The first book that I wanted to get to this week was one that I have had on my shelves for quite a while now, and I mainly purchased it so I could read the second book, because the second book is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, which is one of my favorite types of retellings. But this one was Cinderella, and it is A Kiss at Midnight by Eloisa James. I ended up really, really enjoying this book. It was exactly what I needed in the moment. It has a strong heroine as well as the fairy godmother, who is amazing. Her name is Henry, and she is full of so much wisdom. It's just a fantastic read. Really enjoyed it. But we're following our heroine, Kate. Now, Kate's father had all of this land with a lot of tenants on it, and she grew up basically helping her dad. Her mother was very sick. She ended up passing away when Kate was 16 years old, and Kate's father quickly remarried, and his new wife had a daughter of her own. When Kate's father passes away, he ends up leaving all of his money to his new wife, and she spends it on clothes for her and her daughter, on frivolous things, really doesn't care about the people living on the estate like Kate does. Kate is always riding around, talking to the people. She's kind to everyone she meets. She really cares about, everyone that lives there. And her stepmother just could not be bothered. But something that I really admire about Kate was how she was never willing to back down from her stepmother. She was always, wanting to fight for the people and do the right thing. So when our book initially starts out, Kate's stepsister has been injured by one of her dogs. She's been trying to teach it to eat from her mouth, and it bites her lip. Normally, this would just be, a brief little glimpse, but this is not acceptable for Kate's stepmother, because Kate's stepsister is engaged to be married, and her fiance needs the approval of his uncle, the prince. So they need to go and get the prince's approval. However, Kate's stepsister has been grievously disfigured, according to her stepmother, so she enlists Kate to play the part of her stepsister. Now, Gabriel is our prince, and being a prince is pretty damn pricey. You have to pay for the upkeep of the castle as well as the staff, but he does not have this kind of money. So they arrange his marriage to a Russian princess, I think she is, who comes with a huge dowry that will be able to help him in, being able to afford the upkeep of the castle. Gabriel has always been very curious about the world. He really likes archaeology, and his plan is to marry this Russian princess so he can get her help and then kind of leave her and gallivant about the world. However, when Gabriel meets Kate, things change. They have this instant chemistry, and they decide to explore their feelings towards one another, if only temporarily, because Gabriel's fiance is on her way there. So technically there is cheating because he is engaged. However, he has never met his fiance. And yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I was able to look past that element and just really enjoyed it for what it was. And then the final book that I wanted to get to for the historical romance readathon was the group pick, which was Olivia and the Masked Duke by Grace Calloway. Has a single week ever felt like an entire year to you? I'm pretty sure every single week in 2020 felt like that for all of us. This book made this entire week feel like a year. Made it feel like it drug on. This book put me in such a massive reading slump. In case you can't tell, I freaking hated this book, you guys. It's so sad because I was so excited about this book. I heard age gap and investigative agency, and I decided I had to read this book. I wanted to see for myself, and it missed the mark completely. I felt that Grace Calloway was trying to do way too much in this book, and she should have focused on a couple of elements here and there, and it would have been much better. So our heroine, Olivia, meets the Duke of Hadley when she is 12 years old, and he rescues her from a lake. And I really wish he would have let her drown. There is a 12-year age gap, so I believe he's 24 when this happens. And they become friends. She is determined, to remain loyal to him, to, thank him for saving her life and always have his back. And when she is 19, it becomes more. She decides that she is in love with the Duke of Hadley, who she has worshipped for years at this point. Yeah. It was not good, guys. I'm sorry. I didn't. Oh boy. Where to begin? Okay. So when this book begins, Olivia has recently come out in society. She doesn't exactly have a higher calling, but Grace wants to try and paint it to where she is born to be this investigator. Her mother was an investigator, and when this opportunity at this agency pops up, this is Livy's calling. She is born to do this. This whole 2 weeks, she's just immediately fallen in love with it, which is fine. Okay, like, I'm all about exploring dreams and passions and whatever. Like, everybody needs to find that for themselves. But whenever they go out on these missions after having far less training than what should be appropriate in this situation, she and her two best friends who've joined with her, get all dressed up. They go in disguise. No one can recognize them. They're in these dangerous places, spying on these dangerous people. And whenever Hadley is around, she's like, oh my gosh, I feel him. I know he's here. And he always sees through every disguise that she has on and knows she's there too. So he ultimately loses sight of his own mission for attending these things. Basically, each side is trying to bring down this drug ring that's like killing people. They're trying to figure out where they're coming from. But no, they get distracted. It's okay. They sense each other on this deep level. What? What kind of freaking spy are you, lady? She darts out of the room when he shows up. And then he chases her, and it becomes this whole thing. And then there's also an element of BDSM, which I did appreciate. I enjoyed a historical that had that element in it. I did enjoy that. I did not enjoy how it was not discussed with her, because Hadley is the one, obviously, that enjoys this lifestyle, and how Olivia's feelings toward him shifted was because she saw him having rough sex with someone and was like, that's my man. Okay, yeah, go for it, Olivia. Just go for it, is what I say. But it wasn't explained to her what it was, things like that. I didn't enjoy that part of it. I also had trouble with, there were flashbacks in this book from when she was growing up. He was already grown adult, but when she was growing up. So 13, 15, blah, 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 okay? But they were interspersed between a sexy time chapter and then to when she was a child. And I was just I felt grossed out. I did not enjoy that. I did not enjoy his little nicknames for her because it made us remember that she was a child a year ago. And yeah, it was kind of awkward. But the biggest thing that I did not like about this book, and the list is already long enough, but this is a huge one for me, right? Hadley was married before. He was in not the best relationship with his wife, and she passed away along with their unborn child, and he decides that he is not going to get married again. That is not for him. But then, when the sexual relationship begins between him and Olivia, he decides, maybe. But the only way I'm going to get married again is if my wife obeys everything that I tell her to. I'm getting mad just friggin' thinking about it, you guys. And I hate that. I hate that in a freaking book. I'm going to shut up because I'm just going to rant. I hate that so freaking much. And I'm pretty sure that that was why I was so hesitant to go into historical romances, is because of that reason. That freaking reason right there. I got through 83% of this book with my teeth grinding the entire time before I decided I'm going to skim the rest. I cannot. And I didn't. I skimmed the rest. But you know what? I'm freaking counting it as read because 83%. So that was it. That was the end of the historical romance readathon for me. And then I moved on to Happier Pastures and grabbed a contemporary right away, and that was North to You, and this is by Tiff Marcello. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and it follows Camille, who is the sole guardian for her teenage sister, and she runs a food truck in San Francisco, I think they are. But basically they're out one night, and she gets into kind of like a tough spot with some people at this festival. They're kind of harassing her a little bit. They've obviously had way too much to drink, and she runs into someone and is just like, help me, I need your help. And little does she know, it is actually a guy she dated in high school for a few months named Drew. Now, Drew was all in for Camille in high school. They had this really, passionate relationship until she just left out of the blue. He doesn't know why. He doesn't know what happened. Just one day she was there. The next, she was gone. Drew is back in San Francisco to help his father. His father has this Filipino restaurant that is not doing too well, and Drew is getting ready to deploy. He is a member of the military, and he will be gone for, I believe, 6 months. I can't remember. But he wants to help his dad before he goes because his family doesn't really understand why he needed to get away, especially his dad. His dad and Drew have always butted heads, so he kind of wants to make amends before he deploys. Camille is working through her own things. Her sister is growing up, and she is struggling to stay competitive in the food truck business. She has this one spot she always parks in, but something happens. She loses that spot, and she needs to find a new area. So she's struggling with finding customers to come to her, but little does she know, she's actually parked very, very close to Drew's father's restaurant. So Camille and Drew's father kind of have this rivalry going, and it's great. I really enjoyed this book, you guys. I recommend listening to it on audio because the narrators were so good. The male narrator actually was the male narrator in Luna and the Lie, which I freaking love that book. And so I need more books read by him in my ears. And I know there are 2 more books in this series. I am currently waiting for them to become available. I think I found this on Hoopla and I was already at my limit. Stupid Hoopla. Please pick this up, especially if you are a foodie, but also if you're just in the mood for a really sweet, cute romance. North to You really focuses on the food element, but it has an even greater focus on the family element. And when I say family element, kind of think of Mariana Zapata family element. It was that good. And Tiff Marcello has this incredible ability with the written word. So Drew was in the military, but she didn't harp on that. But at the same time, I felt like I understood what he was going through, the concerns he was facing, the concerns his family had for him. It was just so well done. And I believe books 2 and 3 follow members of his family as well. Next up, I read Falling for My Rival by Dakota Davies, and this follows the story of Wyatt and Brooke, who initially met a few months ago when Brooke was in town. They had a one-night stand before she left. Wyatt works at a local newspaper. It is very small in his town, and he is kind of determined to get out. Things happened with his family to where he had to put his dreams on hold. He wanted to be an Olympic swimmer. He was actually on the Olympic team, and things hit the fan, and he had to take care of his family. He had to put his dreams on hold. So he's been working at this paper, taking care of his family, and this opportunity at a paper in LA comes up, and his boss is like, it's your time, and if you want this job, I will recommend you. I will give you a good word. Just stick it out for a little bit longer here, and then feel free to go over there. So he is working toward that goal. However, Brooke comes into the picture, and Brooke is from Denver, and she has been told by her boss, if you go to this newspaper that is struggling and kind of help them turn their numbers around, I will put in a good word for you for this LA job. They're competing for this same job. They don't know it quite yet. And yeah, they have to work together. He is initially very surprised to see her back in his corner of the world. And there is a little bit of a rivalry. It is not focused on as much as I would have liked it to have been. There are a lot of suspense aspects in this book. A local youth pastor went missing a few years ago, and some remains have recently been found. They're trying to discover if it is him, what happened to him. So there's a lot of journalism being captured, which I really enjoyed. At times I felt it went a little too long and really didn't focus on their relationship like I would have liked it to have, and kind of drug in some spots. So overall, I give this book a 3 out of 5 stars. And then the last book that I picked up this week was Yes and I Love You by Ronnie Lauren. I have had her on my TBR for forever, especially the ones that got away. If you've read that book, please let me know if it's any good. But I love this book. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. So our heroine is named Holland Tate. And Holland has an online persona known as Ms. Poppy. Ms. Poppy is the it blogger in New Orleans. She tells you, what's hot, what's going on in the entertainment world, but she is completely anonymous. She seems very fun, very outgoing, yet Holland is a little bit different in real life. She does have Tourette's, and her form of Tourette's causes her muscles to tick. And because of her Tourette's, she also suffers with anxiety. Her boss tells her that if she wants to keep being Ms. Poppy, they need to do a reveal. They have to get her on camera as Ms. Poppy, and she is extremely nervous about this. Outside of her comfort zone is already going to work at this kind of work share space where other influencers or podcasters kind of go if they want like an office space, and it's just like a community office type area. That's out of her comfort zone, but she pushes herself to do that anyway. But being on camera for her is another matter altogether. Now, the barista at this workspace has recently quit, and a struggling comedian kind of steps into that role. Our hero, Jasper Deers, comes and helps Holland kind of break out of her shell a little bit. She tells him, I need help with being on camera. I need help feeling comfortable on camera, because she knows that he's the perfect person to help her. He is an improv actor. That is, his life. He hates following a script. And he's got a troupe of other improv actors that go around doing these various different shows. And his ultimate goal is to own his own theater and maybe even teach other people about improv. So it turns out that they can kind of help each other, because inadvertently Holland spills that she is Miss Poppy to him, and he was like, oh my gosh, well, a great review from you could really help set off my school. And Holland's like, well, I don't quite do that. You have to earn a great review from me. But they agreed to kind of help each other out, and it is their romance, and it is fantastic. Book 2 in this series came out already or is coming out in a few days. I cannot wait to get my hands on that one. So guys, that was it. Those are all of the books that I read between July 4th and July 10th. I am curious to know what you guys read, if you read anything good, or if you've read any of the books that I've talked about in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like this video, don't forget to let me know by giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel if you have not done so already. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!